All right, everyone, let's settle down. Take your seats. Welcome to class.
Yeah.
I hope you've all got your notebooks open and your thinking caps firmly on, because today's lesson is a big one. It's a subject that is currently keeping teachers, students, and honestly the entire internet awake at night.
It really is.
I'm your co-teacher for this session.
And I'm joining you here at the front of the classroom to help break down the complexities of what we're looking at today. It's good to see you all here.
Today's lesson plan is all about the ghost in the machine. We are talking about the reality of AI text detection. Now, raise your hand, figuratively speaking, if you've used an AI chatbot recently to draft an email or brainstorm an idea. Okay, now keep them up if you've ever worried about being accused of using one when you actually didn't.
And that anxiety you're feeling, that is the crucial tension of the modern classroom and, the modern workplace. We are looking at a digital landscape where, by some estimates, up to 90% of online content could be AI generated by 2026.
90. That is just a staggering shift in how human information is created.
That number blows my mind every single time I hear it. So naturally, because of that flood of robot writing, we have this massive rush to build tools that can tell the difference.
The plagiarism police of the future.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But the question guiding our lesson today is, do these tools actually work?
Right. So our learning objectives for this session are pretty straightforward. We're going to look under the hood at the math that powers these detectors.
Okay.
We'll discuss why they are currently facing a massive reliability crisis. We'll examine the serious problems they have with bias, and we'll look at what the future holds.
And we promise, no heavy jargon without a clear explanation. We want you to leave this class understanding exactly what's happening when someone clicks scan on an essay. So let's jump into the mechanics.
Let's do it.
When a detector looks at a piece of writing, what is it actually seeing? It isn't reading it like a human teacher would, right? No, not at all. It's helpful to think of an AI detector as just another language model, but it's one that's been trained to be a critic instead of a creator.
So it's an AI judging another AI.
Exactly. It's essentially asking itself, is this the sort of thing I would have written? And to do that, it relies on two foundational concepts. If you're taking notes, you should write these down: perplexity and burstiness.
Perplexity and burstiness. They sound like a comedy duo.
They do a little bit, yeah.
Let's break those down. Perplexity first. This is often described as the surprise meter, isn't it?
That is a great way to put it. Perplexity measures unpredictability. You have to remember that AI models are prediction machines.
Right. They're just guessing what comes next.
They are mathematically designed to guess the next most probable word in a sentence. Because they always aim for high probability, the text they produce is very smooth, very logical, and mathematically unsurprising.
Which means it has low perplexity.
It results in low perplexity.
Okay, so a practical example. If I write, I went to the store and bought a pick, the AI is probably going to predict gallon of milk or loaf of bread.
Precisely. It picks the most likely, the most boring path.
But if I'm a human, I might write, I went to the store and bought a unicycle.
Exactly. That is high perplexity. Human writing is messy. We make strange word choices, we have typos, we take creative detours that logic just doesn't dictate.
So to a detector, that low perplexity, it looks suspicious. It's too smooth.
It's statistically flat. Chaos is human, order is robot.
Got it. Okay, now what of the second one? Burstiness. This feels like it's about rhythm.
It is exactly about rhythm. Burstiness measures the variation in sentence structure and length. Think about how we speak or write. We might use a short, punchy sentence. Then we follow it up with a long, winding explanation that uses multiple clauses, before finishing with another short conclusion.
Right. It's dynamic. It has a beat.
Correct. AI, on the other hand, it tends to be very monotone in its structure. It produces sentences of average length, one after another, with very consistent complexity. It just lacks that bursty quality.
So if perplexity is the surprise of the words, burstiness is the surprise of the structure.
You've got it. That's the basic statistical foundation.
Yeah.
But before we get into the more advanced technology, I think you have an announcement for the class.
I do. If you are enjoying this video, please watch it until the end. It helps the channel a lot and encourages us to continue our work.
Now, moving beyond basic statistics, modern detectors are doing more than just, counting sentence lengths. We are entering the realm of deep learning.
And the black box.
Yes.
This is where it gets a little more advanced. We're talking about embeddings, right? This isn't just looking at words on a page anymore.
No. Imagine a massive multidimensional map. In this system, every word or phrase is converted into a vector a set of numbers that represents its meaning and its relationship to every other word.
So king and queen would be close together on this map.
Very close together. While king and sandwich would be really far apart.
Okay, so the computer turns language into geometry.
Essentially, yes.
Mm.
The detector analyzes the text by looking at the path it takes through this map. These tools are trained on massive data sets, millions of documents of human writing versus machine writing, and they learn to spot these statistical patterns that are just completely invisible to the human eye.
So they are kind of mapping the thought process behind the writing.
In a way.
Yeah.
And this leads us to the fingerprint theory.
I love this concept, the idea that AI leaves a fingerprint. I always assumed all AI sounded the same, but that's not true, is it?
Not at all.
Yeah.
Large language models actually have distinct authorial styles. Even within the same family of models, say, different versions of Llama or GPT, there are consistent patterns.
Patterns in how they use what?
N-grams.
In how they use n-grams, yes.
Quick definition check for the class. What is an n-gram?
An n-gram is just a sequence of n items. So a 2-gram is a pair of words. A 3-gram is 3 words. Models tend to favor specific sequences or part of speech patterns. So it's like a signature.
It's almost like a morphosyntactic signature. Advanced detectors can sometimes tell you not just that it was AI, but which AI wrote it, distinguishing one chatbot from another.
That is fascinating. It's like forensic linguistics for robots. But, and this is a big but, if these fingerprints are so distinct and the math is so advanced, why are we seeing so many headlines about these tools failing?
This brings us to the reliability crisis. And this is probably the most important part of today's lesson for anyone relying on these tools. We have to talk about the trap of accuracy.
Right, because if a company says their tool is 99% accurate, that sounds amazing.
It sounds perfect.
But in statistics, that number can be incredibly misleading.
It's statistically dangerous. Let's do a thought experiment. Imagine you have a data set of 100 essays, and 99 of them are written by humans.
Okay.
If I build a detector that's lazy and just says human for absolutely everything, I am technically 99% accurate.
But you're useless at detecting AI. You missed the one case you were looking for.
Exactly. You have failed completely at the task. Yeah. So we need to look at recall versus false positive rate. Recall is, did we catch the AI? But the far more dangerous metric in education is the false positive rate. Did we accuse a human?
And we have seen some high-profile failures here. I mean, look at what happened with the creators of ChatGPT. They released their own classifier, and then they just quietly took it down.
They did. They shut it down because of a low rate of accuracy. It was only correctly identifying about 26% of AI text, which is just abysmal.
Wow.
But the real-world consequences are what keep me up at night. We call it the type I error.
The false positive.
Yes. There's a mathematical reality here.
Yeah.
Perfect separation of human and AI text is impossible. The statistical distributions, they overlap.
Right.
There was a case at a major university that really highlights this. A professor flagged 17 students for using AI based on a detector.
17 students in one class. That sounds suspicious immediately.
It was. And upon manual review, looking at the students' edit histories and their drafts, 15 of those 17 were found to be false positives.
15! That is terrifying.
That is 15 students who faced the stress and stigma of an academic dishonesty accusation because of a statistical error.
And that segues perfectly into our next topic, because those false positives aren't just hitting everyone equally. We have to talk about the equity problem.
This is perhaps the most critical failure of current detection technology. Research has shown that these detectors are significantly biased against non-native English speakers.
I recall reading a statistic that was shocking. Something like over 60% of essays by non-native speakers were misclassified.
That is correct. One study showed detectors misclassified over 61% of essays written by non-native English speakers as AI generated. Compare that to near perfect accuracy for native speakers.
Why? Why is the software targeting them? Is it the vocabulary?
Think back to our lesson on perplexity. When you are learning a new language, what do? You follow the rules, strictly. You use standard vocabulary, formal grammar, and predictable sentence structures.
You don't get weird with it.
You avoid getting too weird or creative because you want to be correct.
So they're writing with low perplexity.
Exactly. They're doing exactly what they were taught to do, to be clear and correct, and the detector sees that predictability and says, this looks like a robot.
So it's a penalty for following the rules. That is incredibly unfair. And it's not just language learners, is it?
No. Neurodivergent writers who prefer highly structured, repetitive phrasing or explicit logical steps can also trigger these systems. We're essentially automating bias against anyone who doesn't write with a specific type of, native level creative flair.
So we have tools that don't work well, that accuse innocent people and specifically target vulnerable groups. But surely the actual people trying to trick the system, they're getting caught, right? Or is there a way around it?
And this is the arms race. The answer is evasion is actually quite easy.
I've heard of paraphrasing attacks.
It sounds aggressive, but it's simple. If you take AI-generated text and run it through a paraphrasing tool, even a simple one, you scramble the fingerprints.
So you disrupt the perplexity and burstiness just enough to fool the machine.
Exactly. You change the word choice, you break the n-gram patterns, and then the detector companies update their models so the AI gets better at sounding human and the cycle continues.
It's a constant loop.
It is. There's been talk of watermarking, embedding invisible signals into the AI text.
Like a secret code that says, a computer wrote this?
Yes, but it hasn't become the industry standard. It requires every single AI company to agree to do it. And it's surprisingly easy to tamper with. If you edit the text enough, you just wash out the watermark.
Okay, so standard detection is flawed. Are there any advanced methods on the horizon? Is there a next generation of detectors?
There's some fascinating research into something called intrinsic dimension, or ID.
Intrinsic dimension. Okay, break that down for the class.
Imagine text as a 3D shape. It's a complex analogy, but stick with me. Human thought and writing have a higher dimension. We have more degrees of freedom, more complexity in how we connect ideas. We wander. Our writing is like a crumpled up ball of paper.
Lots of folds and depth. And AI.
AI text tends to live on a lower dimensional manifold. Because it follows such strict mathematical rules to maximize probability, it's more constrained. It's flatter, mathematically speaking.
So humans are the crumbled ball, and AI is the flat sheet of paper.
That's a decent way to visualize it.
Hmm.
This method seems to be more robust against paraphrasing and changes in topic. It's harder to fake dimensionality than it is to fake perplexity.
Well, it's still cutting-edge research.
Right. Not something you can just download as a browser plugin yet.
So if the software is unreliable and the advanced stuff isn't ready, what are we left with? We're back to the eyeball test. As human readers, what should we be looking for?
Since we can't trust the black box, we have to use our own intuition. And there are telltale signs. One is overpoliteness.
Oh, totally. The I hope this finds you well vibe, but dialed up to 11.
Exactly. AI tends to be excessively formal, apologetic, and neutral. It lacks an edge. Another big one is hedging.
Hedging.
Overusing phrases like, it is important to note, in conclusion, or X is widely regarded as.
It's filler text. It's like a student trying to hit a word count at 2 a.m.
Precisely. And finally, look for logical errors. AI often has perfect grammar, better than most humans, but it can lack basic logic or hallucinate facts. If you see a sentence that is grammatically flawless but cites a book that doesn't exist,
You're likely looking at AI. That's the uncanny valley of text. It reads perfectly, but there's no there. So putting my teacher hat back on, what is the policy advice here? If I suspect a student used AI, what do I do?
the golden rule is never use a detector as the sole evidence. Ever.
Treat it as a maybe, not a definitely.
Exactly. Treat results as a probability, not a verdict. And use graduated response protocols. Don't jump straight to failing the student.
You have a conversation.
Have a conversation. Ask them about their writing process. Usually, if a student wrote the paper, they can explain their ideas. If they can't, well, that tells you more than the software ever could.
Communication over accusation. I like that. So, to recap today's lesson, we learned that AI detectors are basically math teachers looking for predictability, perplexity, and burstiness. We learned that they are biased against non-native speakers because they mistake following the rules for being a robot.
Critical flaw.
And we learned that this is an arms race where the detection tools are always one step behind the generators, and importantly, relying on them blindly creates real harm.
It really does.
So before we dismiss the class, here is a provocative thought to take with you. We are heading toward a world where AI text might become mathematically indistinguishable from human text. When that happens, will we stop caring who wrote it and start caring why it was written?
Or will we need a digital passport for every single sentence we type? It raises a fundamental question about the value of human effort. Is the essay valuable because of the words or because a human struggled to organize those words?
Something to mull over. All right, class, that's the bell. If the listeners enjoyed the lesson, they can subscribe to the channel, turn on the notification bell to be informed about new videos, press the like button, and share the video with colleagues, as this helps us maintain the channel. Thank you.
Class dismissed. See you next time.